All right, welcome to this explainer. Let's jump right in. Today, we're acting as a specialized analytical engine to deconstruct a massive, converging threat that honestly most people are totally misinterpreting. We're looking at the exact intersection of shifting regulatory policies and a rapidly AI-automated job market. If you're gearing up to drop hundreds of thousands of dollars, not to mention years of your life, on a master's degree or a big career move in tech, well, you're facing a dual-pronged structural squeeze. The ground is literally shifting beneath us. Operating on old assumptions, that's a huge liability right now. So let's break down the actual cause and effect mechanisms that dictate who survives this transition. To get there, we're skipping the generic advice and jumping straight into actionable career survival frameworks. We'll cover the hidden policy threat, the entry-level erosion, saturated versus thriving markets, the 3 value layers, and finally, talent over lottery pathways. Okay, starting with section 1, the hidden policy threat, where we'll decode the true intent behind all those publicized enforcement headlines. You know, it's incredibly easy to get totally distracted by those sensational, panic-inducing headlines you see everywhere. But look at the reality here. Recent, highly publicized federal enforcement actions targeting fraudulent shell companies, they actually involve less than 0.3% of the international student population. Think about that. While shutting down illegitimate operations, like ghost offices with no actual supervision, is pretty standard enforcement, broadcasting these specific figures acts as a massive smokescreen. The intense focus on this tiny fraction of a percent is strategically used to justify much broader, way more restrictive policy changes that are going to hit the 99.7% of perfectly compliant people. The real hazard is actually lurking beneath the surface. It's a proposed duration of status rule. Historically, certain statuses lasted as long as you were actively enrolled in your program. But this new regulatory mechanism, it caps that duration. It forces you into this incredibly dangerous bureaucratic cascade. Imagine this. You file for an extension, you inevitably hit severe processing delays, your authorized stay expires while you're just sitting there waiting, and suddenly, bam, you're unlawfully accruing presence. It's a manufactured bottleneck that fundamentally alters the risk profile of standard educational visas. Moving to section 2, the entry-level erosion. Here's how venture capital and AI are fundamentally altering employable value. So while the policy baseline shifts right under our feet, we're simultaneously getting hit by an AI-driven collapse of the entry-level tech job market. Look at this stark contrast. The standard baseline of skills that practically guaranteed you a lucrative job offer back in 2022, a degree, basic Python or SQL, maybe some standard analytical tools, is completely obsolete today. That entire tier of the workforce has literally been structurally eliminated. The current baseline, now it demands advanced domain skills, deep AI proficiency, workflow automation, and cloud infrastructure knowledge just to score an interview. An expert report captured this perfectly. Knowing tools and having skills is now just the baseline. Everybody has it. It doesn't separate you anymore. That hits the nail on the head. Massive private equity mandates demanding rapid AI integration and operational efficiency have entirely redefined the talent pool. Things that used to make you stand out, like knowing Tableau or basic UX design tools, are now the bare minimum expectations. If you're entering the market thinking your degree and basic tool skills make you competitive, well, you're directly competing against automated systems that can do it 100 times faster and cheaper. That brings us to section 3, saturated versus thriving markets. Let's map the academic return on investment in an automated economy. Choosing the wrong specialization right now doesn't just mean you'll get a lower starting salary. It means total market exclusion. Let's break this down. Generalized fields like data analytics, basic UX design, and entry-level product management are heavily saturated. Why? Because those daily tasks are easily automated by modern AI tools. On the flip side, look at the explosive demand in data engineering, cloud DevOps, and cybersecurity. These are the thriving markets because they provide the essential infrastructure required to actually run, scale, and secure those AI systems. I mean, AI doesn't just run magically on a laptop, right? It runs on massive, highly maintained cloud architectures. To really put the severity of the saturation into perspective, recent industry data revealed a staggering figure: 6,000 applications. 6,000! And that was submitted in just 5 days for a single baseline reporting analyst role. The sheer volume of candidates relying on basic degrees and basic skills is completely overwhelming the system. Relying on volume and luck in a saturated market like that is just a mathematically failing strategy. So, what's the actionable insight here? Major tech conglomerates are absolutely not hiring for basic coding or simple reporting anymore. What they urgently need is talent to build scalable infrastructure on platforms like AWS and Azure. They need engineers who can actually scale and maintain complex data pipelines. They desperately need specialized cybersecurity teams to handle AI governance. And they're pouring massive capital into autonomous IoT and robotics to revolutionize supply chains. These are the underlying mechanisms actually driving the modern tech economy.
All right, Section 4, the 3 value layers. This is our strategic framework for market survival.
To survive this brutal market transition, we've got to map your career trajectory against a new, pretty unforgiving hierarchy of employable value. Check the sequence out. Layer 1 is basic skills and a degree. It's totally overcrowded and easily automated. Layer 2 is where you start to stand out. This is systems architecture and business context. You actually understand the business context of your code. But layer 3, that's the ultimate goal. That's where you solve real-world problems and proven a direct impact on revenue. When you hit layer 3, you transition from being just another replaceable applicant to an absolute invaluable asset. And this brings us to a really critical concept, the layer 1 trap. You have to aggressively architect your career to avoid this. It's the financially devastating error of spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a generalized master's degree, only to graduate and rely entirely on those basic skills. If you fall into this trap, you're stepping straight into direct competition with automated AI workflow tools. And let's be real, the market just no longer rewards average entry-level talent. Finally, Section 5, talent over lottery pathways, where we realign immigration strategy with market reality. Now we absolutely must connect this market reality back to that regulatory squeeze we talked about earlier. Relying on standard lottery-based visa pathways, it's a massive liability. They're bogged down by tightening regulations and completely unpredictable bureaucratic delays that you have literally zero control over. Now, compare that to talent pathways. These are merit-based, you can actually control the application timeline, and they're structurally favored by the system. By purposefully building up that layer 3 professional profile we just discussed, you unlock these merit-driven routes.
And the analytical data validates this strategy perfectly. Top-tier talent-based pathways boast an incredible 94% approval rate. This number proves a core thesis. Elevating your underlying market value from layer 1 to layer 3 doesn't just make you highly employable in an AI-driven economy, it fundamentally solves your structural and bureaucratic immigration challenges at the exact same time. It's a total game changer. Talent is your ultimate leverage.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final, provocative question to help you analytically evaluate your own trajectory. Are you building your future on an educational and immigration strategy designed for a market that no longer exists? Take a second to think about that. The baseline has completely changed, and the regulatory landscape has drastically shifted. You absolutely must adapt to the underlying mechanics of this new era. Focus on infrastructure, focus on real-world value, or risk being entirely left behind. Keep learning, keep analyzing, and we'll catch you in the next one.